If you've been on the internet in the past decade, you've probably heard the single worst take in the entire Batman discourse. If Batman actually cared about Gotham, he'd invest in the city instead of just beating up the poor. And every time I hear that, I swear a small part of my soul evaporates. Because that's exactly what I would say if I had never touched a Batman comic, never watched an animated series, and was actively trying to advertise to the world that I have no idea what I was talking about. This idea has somehow become mainstream. The idea that Batman is just a billionaire LARPing as a ninja while Gotham rots around him. But the problem with this argument is that it falls apart the instant you look at actual canon or almost any piece of actual Batman media. Because here's the truth. Out of every billionaire in fiction, Marvel, DC, whatever, Bruce Wayne is the single most aggressive, dedicated, and self-sacrificial force for the social good that you will ever find. And Batman is the only reason Gotham isn't a post-apocalyptic wasteland ruled by clowns, mobsters, eco-terrorists, and literal demons. We are the Hive Mind, and today we're gonna break apart one of the most misguided quote-unquote gotcha arguments on the internet. Does Batman actually help Gotham? Because when you look at the full picture, Bruce Wayne's philanthropy, his housing programs, his worker protections, the Wayne Foundation, the complete dismantling of organized crime, the collapse of murder rates, and the fact that the GCPD is hilariously unequipped to handle even one Gotham-level threat, the answer becomes obvious. Batman doesn't just help Gotham. Batman saves Gotham every single day, on both sides of the mask. And by the end of this video, anyone who still believes that Batman quote-unquote does nothing for Gotham is going to have to face a very uncomfortable truth. But with that being said, let's start with the part that people conveniently love to pretend doesn't exist. People constantly love to say that Bruce Wayne should invest in Gotham. But they say it as if Bruce isn't already doing that more aggressively than any other billionaire superhero in the history of comic books. So let's just go point by point. First off, we have the Wayne Foundation. The Wayne Foundation is basically Gotham's safety net. It funds free clinics across the city, weather and traffic radio stations, food programs, youth outreach, homelessness shelters, and it was the leading force in rebuilding the city after No Man's Land, a story where an earthquake basically shook Gotham to its core. And when the government abandoned Gotham in that very same storyline, Bruce didn't. He paid for the streets, the homes, the hospitals, everything to repair it. Speaking of repairing, anytime a villain or a Batman fight causes destruction in Gotham, Wayne Enterprises steps in and pays for the repairs, so it doesn't fall on the taxpayer or the city's budget. Bruce literally offsets the collateral damage of an entire superpowered ecosystem. Speaking of that ecosystem, you also have to start at the bottom to break the cycle of crime. Bruce understands that crime comes from poverty, desperation, and a lack of opportunity, so he attacks the roots directly. He hires low-level criminals and ex-cons into Wayne Enterprises. He pays them good wages with benefits and real upward mobility. He builds affordable housing all across Gotham. He funds addiction programs and job training centers. And he pays the full college tuition of every single Wayne Enterprise employee, not a reimbursement or a discount. Full tuition paid in cash so they can pull themselves out of poverty. We see this play out all the time in the comics. For example, if we look at Batman 465, we see a perfect example of how Bruce uses his money to break Gotham's cycle of crime before it starts. After Tim Drake stops a pair of teenagers from robbing a corner store, Bruce personally steps in, not as Batman, but as Bruce Wayne, the man who believes Gotham's kids deserve a chance. He learns that the boys aren't hardened criminals or anything. They're just two teens pushed into desperation by poverty and a lack of options. So instead of letting the system chew them up and spit them out, Bruce offers them a legitimate job at Wayne Enterprises, complete with real wages, mentorship, and a path forward. And the moment that seals it is when Bruce tells Tim is that the real reason he became Batman is not only to punish the guilty, but also to give people hope. This isn't even the only time either, as we see in Grant Morrison's Batman run where there's a background character named Ellie who's a teenage girl who's been written off by society, but when Bruce encounters her, he gives her a job at Wayne Enterprises as a Wayne Foundation intern and completely transforms her life. But we know for a fact that in Gotham City there isn't just one company. And from the real world, we know just how bad corporate abuse can be. But when other companies mistreat their workers, Bruce literally buys the company, fires the corrupt leadership, and rehires the employees under Wayne Enterprises, giving them better pay, better protections, and a better future. Bruce's philanthropy doesn't just stop at Gotham either. He does plenty of global humanitarian work as well. He's funded refugee camps, immigration sponsorship pipelines, international low-income housing, and even creates college funds for other heroes' children, like when he did so for Wally West's twins right after they were born. Bruce Wayne isn't just a passive billionaire. He's aggressively redistributing his wealth to make Gotham and the world a better place. But Gotham's problems aren't just economic. They're violent, chaotic, supernatural, metahuman, and deeply corrupt, which is why Gotham doesn't just need Bruce Wayne. it needs Batman. So let's talk about it real quick. The part of the equation that people love to dumb down into quote-unquote beating up poor people at night. And this is where the entire anti-Batman argument completely collapses in on itself. Because as soon as you look into the facts, the actual function of Batman, you realize that Batman is the only thing standing between Gotham and total collapse. So let's break it down. The first myth that I want to cover is that Batman creates his villains. And this is the most repeated but easily disproven claim about the character. Because when you actually read the comics, you'll discover something important. Batman did not create his villains, Gotham did. Every single major villain comes from Gotham's corruption, trauma, or institutions, not from Batman's existence. Joker was already a criminal working as Red Hood before Batman ever suited up. His fall into the chemicals is the result of Gotham's criminal ecosystem, not Batman punching him. Two-Face was broken by Gotham's corrupt justice system, allowing the mob to scar his face and break his sanity. The Penguin is literally a generational crime lord. His family has been corrupt ever since the 1800s. Riddler was a narcissistic genius who used Gotham as a playground before he ever cared about Batman. Scarecrow is the direct result of Arkham Asylum and unethical academic research. This is more due to a failure of Gotham's institutions than anything else. Ra's al Ghul predates Batman by literal centuries, and that doesn't even count the Court of Owls who were there since the inception of Gotham itself. Not a single one of these people woke up and said, "Oh no, a man in a cape is punching muggers, I guess I'll become a bioterrorist." They were always on track to become Gotham's worst nightmare. Batman simply stepped in to stop them. And the idea that if Batman retired tomorrow, the villains would magically disappear is completely asinine. No, they wouldn't. They would just take over. Because Gotham's problems are not symptomatic. They're structural. Just think about it. Without Batman, the GCPD would be completely overwhelmed. The GCPD is one of the most corrupt and underfunded police forces in the DC universe, not to mention how ill-equipped they are for it. Even Commissioner Gordon, a man who genuinely tries, admits repeatedly that they could not handle Gotham's supercrime. Let's list the threats that they'd have to face alone without Batman. Chemical warfare from Joker, fear toxin from Scarecrow, cryogenic weapons from Mr. Freeze, biological and eco-terrorism from Poison Ivy, metahuman assassins like Deathstroke, League of Assassin infiltrations, Bane leading organized uprisings, Court of Owls political manipulation, Mad Hatter's citywide mind control, Black Masks literally running the entire criminal underworld, and Clayface a literal shape-shifting monster. Gotham's police force isn't built for that. They're barely built for parking enforcement. Batman doesn't just quote-unquote help the GCPD. He's the backbone that holds up their entire system. Gordon has said multiple times in multiple mediums that if Batman disappeared, Gotham would fall within weeks. Not months, not years, weeks. Because Batman is the only thing in Gotham that scales to its threats. And here's one of the most important but most ignored parts about Batman. Batman actually reduces crime. Canonically, once Batman appeared, crime in Gotham plummets. From organized crime to corruption to streets becoming safer, more criminals being apprehended alive and put into programs to rehabilitate them, and the overall murder rate falls to levels that are frankly ridiculous for a city like Gotham. And that's the stat that I want to look at the closest. Gotham has 9 million people in it, and the last recorded annual murders was 182. That's insanely low for a city constantly attacked by supervillains. To put that into perspective, a city of similar size, New York, has a population of 8.9 million, but 450 to 500 murders. That's not even counting stuff like Chicago, Philadelphia, and Houston, which have a fraction of the population, but more than triple the amount of annual murders. Gotham has a lower murder rate than multiple real cities with far fewer people, and those cities aren't dealing with clowns gassing entire neighborhoods or assassins trying to decapitate politicians every other week. Batman is not escalating Gotham's violence, he's the only one reducing it. So not only does Batman's presence create safety, Batman is what makes Bruce's philanthropy possible. Bruce's social programs only work because Batman stabilizes the city long enough for people to actually benefit from them. What good is affordable housing if Bane blows up the neighborhood? What good are free clinics if Joker gasses the entire block? What good are job programs if Penguin owns the entire job market? Batman suppresses the violence, Bruce Wayne suppresses the poverty. That's the duality. Two halves of the same solution. All of this brings us back to the actual question. Does Batman help Gotham? And he does in every way imaginable. Bruce Wayne rebuilds the city. He funds it, heals it, educates it, houses it, protects its workers, and breaks the cycle of poverty that creates crime in the first place. Batman defends the city. He stops the supervillains, the corruption, the terrorists, the metahumans, the cults, and the criminals that the GCPD could never hope to contain. One attacks the symptoms, the other attacks the disease. And together, they're the single greatest force for good Gotham has ever had. People love to say that Batman doesn't help Gotham, but the reality is simple. Gotham is only alive because Bruce Wayne builds the city and Batman stops things from trying to burn it down. With that being said though, that's probably going to end this video. If you guys enjoyed this breakdown, please leave a like, subscribe, and tell us what other breakdown you want us to make next.